Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Rebel Hearts with Kristie Weaves. I'm so excited you're joining us today, and I'm even more excited about the guest I have for you today. But before I introduce her, I just want to give a big shout out to our swag bag contest sponsors. As you know, we've been running a swag bag contest on the show that just finished last Friday, and we had such incredible companies stepping forward and donating products that were eco-friendly and fair trade, and companies that are really giving back to the community and making a difference in this world. And I want to give a special shout out to one of our companies today and share a little bit about them with you. Bottega Organica. Are you looking for all natural skincare products with scientifically tested results? Everything from Bottega Organica is made with 100% wildcrafted and organic ingredients, formulated according to scientific discoveries on the anti-aging effectiveness of select plant extracts, designed by science and made from nature. All products are naturally produced and scientifically designed to slow down the aging process and rejuvenate the skin. Bottega Organica only uses botanical serums, floral spring waters, and their own production of extra virgin olive oil. All ingredients come directly from plants that are wild harvested and grown organically at their farms in Italy and New York, straight from farm to bottle. You won't find any preservatives, emulsifiers, artificial fragrances, colors, or synthetics of any kind. And for our audience member, go and visit them at Bottega Organica, that's Bottega with a G, and enter Rebel at the checkout for 10% off your first order. Thank you for that company for being part of our contest. And now let me introduce the amazing guest for today's show. Diana Cooper is a speaker, a best-selling author. She travels internationally to teach about the angels, the new Golden Age, how to work with the unicorns and the dragons. And I met her 2 years ago when I got to interview her for the Children of the Rainbows documentary series. And she is such a special person. I so admire her. I'm so honored to have her on today's show. So let us welcome Diana Cooper. Hello, Diana. Thank you for being on today's show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Absolutely.
I can't believe it's been 2 years that we first met and that I got to interview you.
Time is going faster and faster as the frequency rises on the planet. It's quite amazing.
It is. It is amazing. Since this show is so much about empowering people to follow their path and find their journey and acknowledge their gifts, I would actually love, before we dive into the Golden Age and some other amazing things we're going to talk about, I would actually love for you to share about your own journey of finding your gifts, because it happened really. I remember you telling me that story, and I think it's just such an incredible and empowering story. So would you share some of that with our audience?
Yes, of course I would. And it was rather a long time ago. I was 42. I had no spiritual background, no psychic understanding, nothing whatsoever. No religious background either. And yet, when I was in rock bottom despair, when I was getting divorced, couldn't see a future ahead of me, I sat in a chair and I said, if there's anything out there, show me. And you've got 1 hour. To my amazement, an angel came in, a golden being of light. And I hardly knew what an angel was, but I certainly knew then, and took me out of my body, and we flew together and had many, many experiences of light. And then he showed me my future. We flew together over a hall full of people, all covered in beautiful rainbow auras. And I looked down as I flew beside him and said, am I in the audience? And he said, no, you are a spiritual teacher. You're on the platform. My goodness me, I had no idea what was going on. And he brought me back exactly an hour later. And that experience changed my life because I started seeing angels around. I trained to be a hypnotherapist. I got out of my marriage. And 10 years later, I was lying in the bath asking for some guidance for my classes, and the angels came back. And this time it was a golden angelic voice that said to me, "We want you to tell people about angels." And I said, "No way. No, people will think I'm crazy. They think I'm nuts already, but they'll think I've completely lost it." And they said words that are indelibly in my mind. They said, "Who is doing your work? Is it your ego or your higher self?" And I said, "Okay." And I got out of the bath and I sat on the bed with a towel around me, and 3 angels stood in front of me and gave me all sorts of information, which became my first angel book. And I've been with the angels ever since. They've guided me, they've helped me, they've protected me, and they have taught me such a lot.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. And what I so love about this journey, there are 2 things that I find absolutely incredible. That awakening into your purpose of doing something that you had never, ever done before in your life, or where you said you barely even knew about angel, and all of a sudden the angel came and showed you that such a big part of what is now your life's journey. And then the second part that I am feeling is so many people are afraid to step into their gifts because they might think, okay, my husband will think I'm crazy, my family will think I'm crazy, everybody will think I'm crazy and stop talking to me, no one wants to see me anymore. And I feel like that is such a big fear that I'm witnessing in so many people. They might have this inner calling or this inner desire of doing something, but it's that fear of judgment, the fear of what other people will think of them that is holding them back. Do you see that too around you? And what is your advice for anybody who has these fears?
Just do it. You know, once I'd said that I would work with the angels, they supported me. Almost as soon as that first book was published about angels, I went on to morning television, breakfast TV, to talk about it. And they asked me if I'd have my aura photograph taken. And I said, sure. And I said to my guardian angel, would you step in? Thinking people would see the light. But my guardian angel actually impressed itself onto the photograph so that people could see the golden head. They could see the light coming through in gold. They could see its wingtips around me, and they could see my guide standing behind. And the show was completely in meltdown. They had so many calls. I had to go back next day and talk more about angels. This was a long time ago. This was 20-something years ago. And the most calls were from people who said, we too have had an angel experience, but we have never dared tell anybody about it. And I thought that was just fascinating. It gave permission for people to talk about it.
Yeah. I am having chills all over as you're saying that. And again, kind of what you just said, by us acknowledging our gifts or talking about the things that we're most afraid of, in a way, we're showing the light for others to do the same, right?
Yeah. And I have to say that my parents, for example, would never accept it. They would never look at my books, or I would never talk to them about it. And my father, in fact, was shown one of my books by my daughter, and he just threw it on the floor and said, I don't want anything to do with this. So I think we also have to recognize that not everybody is ready. And so we just have to stay centered in our own knowing and just let other people be where they are.
And I feel that then calls in the support to people of the people who are ready to either hear the information that you have to share, right? Or the support team that will help you get the information out into the world.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, we just have to stay with our path, hold our vision, and the angels will support us no matter what. And do we really need to spend time with people who are on such a different wavelength?
Yeah.
I think that I know very few people, I certainly don't have friends or close friends that aren't on a similar wavelength. I'm not really interested in surrounding myself with those people.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what advice do you have for people who said, I would love to connect more to the angels or learn how to communicate to the angels? How can people open themselves up to receiving messages?
It's very simple. The second you think about an angel is with you. And so trust that fact. But what the angel said to me on that very first time was, this is what we want you to do. We want you to visualize golden energy going into your aura. In other words, breathe out gold and rub your hands together. That's to energize them, and feel your aura and just let that golden energy create an egg around you. Now, gold is the color of the angels. Gold is the color of wisdom. It's a high, fine color. And as soon as you do that, the angels come in and touch you. That's when you feel their presence. And so that's what makes them, well, it just draws their energy to you. And you can call them in. And you can do it anyway. You can do it standing at a bus stop. You can do it just when you have 2 minutes in front of the television. Anytime you're thinking about angels, they're with you. And it's the same with unicorns. It's the same with dragons. Whichever of the angelic energy you want to connect with, if you just think about them, they're there. And so, as we all know, you only have to ask and the angels will help you. But we have to ask because of free will. So remember to ask, and an angel will be there doing their best to help you if what you've asked for is for your highest good. Now, if it's not for your highest good, they won't do it. And you know what? Do you really want it if it's not for your highest good? So they're much wiser than we are.
And, as we're moving forward, we're going to talk about the new golden age in a moment. I feel it is so important for all of us to listen to these messages and connect to guidance in order to be shown what our purpose is, in order to be guided on our way.
And for that, the very best thing you can do is just take a deep breath and center yourself. If you do that just a couple of times, then you'll find that the angels can drop in the thoughts of what you need into your mind. Things change. When you're calm and centered, that's when you attract the right things, the right people, the right situations into your life. That moment of centeredness makes all the difference.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Let's talk about the golden age, Diana, shall we?
Do let.
Yay. I love talking about the golden age. It's one of my favorite topics. And I think
we are going through this incredible transition to the golden age right now. We're going through this 20-year period. So Atlantis ended 10,000 years ago. And in 2012, Atlantis fell to 10,000 years ago. In 2012, the entire civilization ended. And since then, we've had a 20-year period between 2012 and 2032 to go through this amazing shift from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. And the fifth dimension, when enough people are fifth dimensional, that's when the new golden age comes in fully. That starts in 2032, and it's a time of peace. And so every single person that centers themselves chooses peace, chooses forgiveness, chooses acceptance. Every single person that does that is helping us towards the new golden age. Every time you call in a unicorn and you connect with the unicorn because you want to serve, you are helping to bring about the new golden age. And it's absolutely amazing how much difference one person can make just by having that intention, having that love in their heart.
I love that, because we always think that we have to do something really, really huge, and something as simple as holding love in our heart and connecting to our unicorns and our angels can create such a tremendous shift.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you watch television and instead of getting caught up in the drama, you know that every single soul that's going through hardship has agreed to that, has called it to them because they want to learn about whatever it is that they're going through. However hideous it is, however it makes you shiver in horror at an earthly level, at a soul level, they have all agreed to it, to go through that perhaps terrible circumstance, to learn about love, to learn about being on earth and helping others, to learn about forgiveness, to learn about joy, a million things they're all learning. They're learning to let go of attachment to somebody that they love. All the extraordinary things that we are doing on earth, and these are the final initiations, the hardest ones. And when we really, really learned those things, then we've helped everybody else to do it. Because if you clear something in your aura, then you help everybody else to clear it too. And so everyone that is doing something to release and allow their soul to move forward is actually serving humanity in a huge way. Every time you open your heart and send a rainbow of love to somebody, then you are helping humanity. It is awesome what a difference we can make.
It's this saying, when a bird flaps its wings in China, we can feel its ripple effects all over the world.
And a bird is not here to learn. See, animals are here to learn and teach. Humans are here to learn and teach. But birds are only here to teach. They come with nothing to learn. They demonstrate freedom, but every single kind of bird is teaching us something. You know, you've only got to see an eagle flying up there. It's a master of air. It's mastered its element. And it shows us that when you're fifth dimensional, life is easy. You see life from a higher enlightened perspective. You don't judge anything because you see that souls have made all those choices. And so they're up there demonstrating to us that that's how we can be.
And I have a question for you. I was just in Germany in May. And I was doing some lectures over there, and this is a question that I was constantly asked over and over again. And I would love to hear your answer to that question. So the question was, well, if we're really moving to the age of enlightenment, into a new golden age, why do we see so much war, so much destruction, so much darkness in the news, from racism to bullying to illness to GMOs? Are we really moving into a new golden age, or is it just an illusion? So what is your answer to that?
My answer is, if you have a cloth that's white and it's absolutely impregnated with dirt and you wash it, you have a huge amount of muddy water coming out. And we are clearing everything right now in preparation for the new golden age. Don't forget, it's such an important time that beings from all over the universes are now shining their light onto us, helping us, watching us. And very high frequency beings are coming in to assist in this process. And so if somebody shines a light on you, you see all the darkness. If you go into a cellar and you've been stumbling around with a candle, then it looks okay. You don't see the dust and the dirt. If you switch the main light on, my goodness, do you see the dirt and the dust in every corner? And that's so that you can start to clear it out quickly. That's when that change takes place. We have been on an enormously long journey, 10,000 years in the third dimension and 20 years to shift ourselves totally. The planet has already moved into the fourth dimension, and we are accelerating rapidly. The angels say, look how far we've come, not how far you've got to go. And we have gone on an enormous journey. You know, in 1987 was the harmonic convergence, the start of the 25-year period of purification, when the violet flame came back, the Manhattan energy came back. the Stargate of Lyra cracked and some unicorns came in, and they saw people with lights on over their heads wanting to serve, and they went to those people. But then 2012 itself, huge cosmic portals and energies coming in. 2015, massive heart initiations and activations taking place. The Stargate of Lyra opens, 9th dimensional unicorns as well as the 7th dimensional ones come in. Dragons start returning. Masses and masses of very, very high frequency energies start pouring into the planet. No wonder we see so much darkness. It's becoming apparent to us totally. And all those people are now having to start opening their hearts and feel the pain and deciding that's what they no longer want. And it's very, very tight timing that we have only these few years to do it in. But we will.
We will, yes. Yes.
Lady Gaia has decreed that the entire planet and everyone on her must be 5th dimensional by 2032. And so it will happen.
It will happen. Now, what would you say to a person who says, well, I want to be part of that. I want to help. I'm also feeling overwhelmed at the same time.
Oh, no. There's only one person that we have to deal with, and that's ourselves. Now, that is not overwhelming. If you can just sit quietly and start bringing the light into yourself. If you can think, for example, about unicorns, offer to serve. As soon as you do that, a unicorn is with you. And they really touch you with their purity and their light. They will bring in your 12 chakras and balance them and really help to shift you. Call in the angels, call in the dragons. And then, when you feel you have really worked on yourself, open your heart and send them to other parts of the world, to people who need it. Blessing people wherever you go. I think blessing is a most wonderful and simple way we can help people. Call in the angels for angel blessings or the unicorns for unicorn blessings. And if you see that somebody has poverty consciousness and they are clinging on to everything because they're so scared there isn't going to be enough, ask the angels to bless them with abundance consciousness. Now, you don't just bless them, you then visualize them absolutely flowing with abundance and allowing it to come in and go out and happy. So if somebody is terrified of illness, for example, then bless them with good health and picture them vibrantly happy. If their relationships are terrible, bless them with an open heart and picture them having wonderful relationships. And you can make an enormous difference. And it's not just you, because the angels and the unicorns are taking your thoughts and are touching the other person or people or entire country with those thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yes, it is amazing how simple it is. You can just go on a walk, and as you walk, you can bless the trees. When you bless the trees, they feel better. They radiate out more love and light because they're touching everything. Bless the animals that you see. Bless the people you see. Bless the rain. Every single thing. And you can just say, okay, I'm going to do a 10-minute blessing. And it just touches everything and raises the frequency. And you've done a huge amount of good in that very short time.
Yeah. That is beautiful. I love that. I can already imagine myself.
Your thought only has to come into your mind for a moment. You see something horrible on television, you don't judge it, you just send a blessing. Being an eagle and sending a higher perspective to the situation.
And I think you just said something very important. You look at it. You look at, we go into the judgment. This is good. This is bad. This is dark. This is light. Instead of knowing that everything is light, and even what we would consider dark, it's just like light that has forgotten that it's light.
Absolutely.
And thank you. And then, I studied Ho'oponopono a few years ago, and I read a lot about what Dr. Hugh was doing in prisons. And he just said, before we started going on air, talking about forgiveness and not judging, looking at where have we been hurt, how are we holding on to pain, and allowing ourselves to let go of that pain, because only then, when we're in a space of love, can we shift whatever is around us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's very interesting. The angels will help you with your relationships just because you ask them to. But if you ask the unicorns, the frequency is so much purer that you have to be willing to let go of your ego attachment first. So if you think that person wronged me and I'm angry, but I want to have a better relationship, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You have to let go of your anger, your hurt, feeling that you've been cheated, all of those things. You have to let them go. Because if somebody's cheated you, now this is a personal thing I'm now thinking about, somebody's cheated you, then you're justifiably angry, you will say. But actually, you wanted to learn a lesson about being cheated. So you attract that person and they stepped out of the universe to teach you that lesson. They're your great teacher. And all the time you're ranting at them, they might be your best friend on the other side. Your absolute soulmate. And they've said, okay, I'll have that karma and I'll teach you that lesson by cheating you, so that you can shift your energy so that it never happens again. And so if you let go first and then ask the unicorns to help you totally forgive and open your heart, that's when they will do it.
I love that. And to see that person and to complete that lesson and see the person as the beautiful being that they are in that divine contract. That's the word what I was looking for. Yes, absolutely.
I just reminded of a story I tell sometimes, which was this lady came to a class that was happening in my house. It was a yoga class a friend of mine was running. And I really disliked her. She left entities and dark energies every time she came in. And I was most cross with her for coming. And I talked to my guide about it, which was interesting because he said, well, I had let her through. Because I said, well, what about my protection? How did she get in? And he said, you let her through with your anger. As soon as you were angry with her, she had entry through your protection. And I thought, whoa, there's a lesson for starters. And I thought, okay, there's only one thing I can do, and that is bless this woman. She's teaching me. And I visualized her coming to my gate, and I would go to her, and she would be on a unicorn. I would go to her with a bunch of pink roses, and I would offer these pink roses for love. And then I would visualize her on the unicorn going along a path through a golden gate into a beautiful future. Wow. And I did this every night for a week. And the following week, she didn't turn up at yoga and she never came again, and I never saw her again. Wow. I had shifted my energy so I didn't attract her in anymore.
And I think that is the beauty, and then seeing the lesson. To say, okay, this is the lesson I'm supposed to learn. This is why this person is showing up, and this is why that person is showing up in that particular way. And this is why I'm feeling a particular feeling about that person. And the moment, we acknowledge it, the moment we say, thank you for teaching me that. I'm good. I'm done. I've learned the lesson. I release you from teaching it to me. I've got it.
Yeah.
Let's send love to the situation. Then people can stop showing up. Or maybe one person will stop showing up and then another person will come in order to continue the lesson, right?
Yeah. If you haven't really got it all, somebody else will come because you're determined. This is end times, as I keep saying. We want the old to end so that we can move into the new golden age, so we can live in peace and harmony. And we can't live in peace and harmony if we've got these things inside us that we don't even know are there.
I love that.
We'll learn this time. However hard it is, we will learn.
Yeah. And it feels like, years ago, our mirrors, I'm going to move a little sideways, were about this far, or like down the street, and now the mirrors are right here, and we cannot even look sideways
no
because
getting
it's
away with
right in our
anything anymore.
face.
No getting away with anything.
Yeah.
And that's why all this social media is so amazing, because you can't get away with anything.
Yeah.
Everything is out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the papers have decided to show us all the dark side. They think they're helping. I don't really think they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be much better to show us inspiration so people can see their lights as well. But whatever they're saying in the papers, social media is giving out a totally different story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And giving other information so that people can judge from a much more whole perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I find that, again, when I was in Germany, a lot of my attendees were mainly watching the major network news, and I was talking about Standing Rock and the impact it had, and even how it impacted me. It touched my heart to the very core, what was going on over there and how people came together, and how a lot of people are not watching the independent news or getting the news from social media, are being left out. We're not getting all the information. So social media, in a way, you know, depending how we use it, is a blessing. It actually connects us. It's illuminating what's been going on. It's showing us the truth. So yeah.
Well, it's very interesting. In the era of Golden Atlantis, of course, they had internet, just as we do, but it was a high-frequency internet. So it only carried good news. It only carried the highest, lightest vibrations. And this is what we're aiming for again.
Yeah.
Bring that back. We've got a little work to do, but we will get there.
Yeah. Let's talk in a moment about the structure of the Golden Atlantis. But what you're saying, it's really sweet. I know a woman in Germany, she's a German author. And she said, you know, someone should actually start a positive news station where we talk about today, 500 flights made it across the Atlantic. So and so many people got safe to work in their cars. That would be something. We should do something over here, like have good news, but talk about all the good things that are happening. Yeah, but let's
give people a buzz, and it would make a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like if you see a dog and you say good dog and you tell it it's a wonderful dog, its tail goes up, it feels much better. And if you tell it it's a horrible dog and it's nasty and it's smelly and you don't like it and you hit it, it's a miserable cur.
Yeah.
The more we hear good things about ourselves, the better.
Yeah. It's that imprinting, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We all need it. We need to have the beauty, our divine selves brought out.
Yeah.
You know, if everybody brought out other people's divine selves, which they did in the Golden Age of Atlantis, then we wouldn't have the lower energy because the light would outshine it.
Yeah.
Be able to be there.
And you shared with me, when we interviewed you, you shared with me how during the Golden Age of Atlantis, children, when they were born, were raised in a way where they're connected to their divine soul plan, to their gifts, where that support system was there and that positive support system was there from the beginning on. Would you share a little bit with us today again?
Yeah. Well, it started before somebody got married. If they wanted to get married, then they would go to the priest who would check their auras to see that they were mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically compatible. And if they weren't, they wouldn't get married, because why would they want to? And so they would get married knowing that. Then if they wanted to have a child, and sex wasn't all important because, of course, their spiritual energy was much higher. We've got mostly stuck in our sacral. But if they wanted a child, they would meditate, and sometimes the whole family would meditate for a soul to come in that they could best serve. It was about service. And so when perhaps 2 or 3 souls might come, and they would check them out, and the souls would check them out, and if they agreed that one of them was right, then the act of intercourse would connect that physicality to the body. And when that soul was born, the entire community welcomed it. And at every stage, it was helped. It would be taken to the priest, who was, of course, it was a great mage. They were highly trained psychics, and they would look into their soul journey and see what gifts and talents that child had, what it was bringing forward. And then the child would be taught in such a way that it brought those gifts and talents out. And so that every child did what they loved to do most, and what way to make you happier and contented than to do what you're good at and have what you're good at developed. And that's what they did. They all learned out of nature, and that also helped them. Of course, they learned through crystals. They didn't have a computer plonked in front of them. The crystal was programmed with their own individual lessons, and they placed it on their third eye, tuned in and downloaded the lessons. And so everything was beautifully done. And they were each connected to their star of origin by a crystal, which formulated when they were born. And that enabled them to keep that connection going. So they were always felt connected and belonging.
Yeah, I love that. I just imagine if we, not if we, when we go back to learning that way, learning through the crystals, and also when our school system is set up in such a structured way that we don't honor and acknowledge each individual's energy and calling and purpose and mission. And I'm so excited about the new golden age and returning to these structures of allowing these children to step into their gifts, to be connected with their souls calling for this lifetime. I'm like, what a beautiful world would it be if we all acknowledged our divine gifts and had that support from even preconception.
Well, there is a lot of clashing in schools right now because the new kids coming in are not like the kids of 20 years ago. They are much feistier. They are much clearer about why they're here. They may not consciously be here, but they are not going to allow themselves to be pushed around and pushed into all sorts of things that they don't want to do. And so these kids are standing up for themselves and requiring to be handled in a totally different way, which we're not doing. We would rather put them on Ritalin, we'd rather drug them and push them into the uniforms of the old way. And that's not going to serve them. But these kids are going to be growing up soon. They will be the parents of the next generation. They will make sure that their children have the freedom that they didn't get.
Yeah. I actually have a really fun story for you. We interviewed this boy. He was 15 when we interviewed him, but I met him when he was around 10 or 11. And he was at his house with, I think, his dad at my house with his dad at that time. And I had your Atlantis cards from that I bought Discover Atlantis, and the Atlantis card came with it at that time. And I love that book, by the way. It's incredible. And I had him play with the Atlantis card, and I said, pull an Atlantis card, and he couldn't stop. He couldn't get his hands off your cards. And then he kept pulling cards, and we kept looking at what they meant. And I said to him at some point, I'm like, you're a really old soul, aren't you? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And then it was a few weeks later, and he was in the car with his mom, and his mom was telling him, and he's an indigo, he's one of these really strong-headed children, and his mom was saying to me, I need you to do this and this and that. And he said, well, Mom, why do you know this better than I do? Or why do you get to tell me what to do? And she said, well, because I'm older. And he's like, no, Kristie said I'm an old soul when we pulled Atlantis cards. I'm much older than you are. I know what I'm doing and why.
But isn't it lovely that he could talk to his mother in that way?
Yeah.
I have my 14-year-old granddaughter living with me at the moment. It's wonderful. But she can't cope with the way she's talked to at home.
Yeah.
And so she's moved out and she's come to live with me. And I can see her blossoming every day.
What a gift for you.
Not like the same child that she was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And all I do is try to honor her for who she truly is. Talk to her about things that she knows about in her soul, but are not talked about. And I think that she's a different person already.
I love that. And what a gift for her to have you as her grandmother.
And a gift for me to have her, I can tell you.
And isn't that what these kids usually need, these kids that are labeled with ADD or ADHD or opposition defiance disorder or social behavior disorder, all these orders that psychiatry has been creating, all they usually need is just to be listened to. All they need is to be heard.
This is what she keeps saying. They don't hear me. They don't listen to me. And I think, I wish they would.
Yeah.
Because she's very wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, she has her strops, but she has them because she's not heard.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't have them at my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she said, my daughter says, there are no rules at your house. It's no wonder she likes it. But, you know, she thinks about things and she says, it's quite right. I really must have my screens off by such and such a time. And she does it herself. So we don't go through my screens have been taken away and I'm going to have a screaming fit. It's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's self-monitoring and has the wisdom to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But is not allowed to do it at home.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to switch gears in a moment because I'm looking at the time and I really would love for you to talk about it. And it's what we started talking about before the show. You had some downtime recently due to an illness.
Oh, I had cancer. Yes.
You had cancer, yes.
Really rather a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
I was not feeling well, feeling very, very tired, fainting. I was sent for some blood transfusions and they tried to search for it. And then the doctor came bounding in after I'd had a CT scan and said, oh, we found something.
Okay.
Oh, you have got a huge malignant tumour in your bowel. And I thought, in your ascending colon. And within 6 days, I was in hospital having it out. Mm-hmm. And it was a very interesting initiation for me into another level. And the first operation went wrong. I had to have another operation, and then I had to have a ileostomy, which is a very high colostomy bag. And that didn't work either. And so I was really in a bad way. And but it was just an amazing experience. One night I had to have blood transfusions, and I hadn't been aware of my angels around particularly, but just one little green water dragon who was always with me. And this night, midnight, they brought the transfusion. I thought, I am going to have to sit up giving thanks for this blood and blessing it. And Archangel Gabriel arrived, really flapping his wings, and he sat on the chair beside me and he said, no, you go to sleep. I will bless your blood. Oh, whoa, thank you, Gabriel. And then he said that my illness was not all about stuff I'd done to myself. It was about my service work to humanity, that I had said I wanted to serve. I wanted to help finish the darkness of Atlantis. I wanted to pass the energy through me and clear it. And he said, this is what you're doing. And all the relapses you've had have served this purpose, because millions of people have sent their healing and their light and their love in. And it has created a huge portal, an enormous portal that has enabled humanity to move to another level. And I thought, thank you, because although I knew that, it was really helpful that Archangel Gabriel shared that with me too, and made me feel, it's all worth it. Yeah. I never doubted it was an initiation. I knew that. So I just stayed very centered throughout it. And though there was one point at which they got me into hospital and said they kept releasing me too soon. And then I had to go back in. And they said, you wouldn't have lasted the day if we hadn't got you in again today. Wow. So at the first 2 operations, I had a debrief from spirit. It wasn't golden angels and a voice telling me I had to go back. It was a voice going through my life and all the things that I felt I had to stay for. And things like my grandchildren, my animals, and they made me go through it until I could see that actually they would be fine without me. And when I was absolutely ready to let everything go, then each time they said, now you have a choice. You can stay or go. Wow. And each time I said, I'll do whatever's for the highest good. And I was perfectly prepared to do either. I really didn't mind. And obviously I stayed. And here I am.
I'm so glad you did.
Christmas Eve, the Christ light comes in, the pure unconditional love always bathes the planet between Christmas Eve and Boxing Day. It comes especially strongly then. And I was up all night with various things that were going wrong with my body. And I thought, there must be a reason for this. Why is this happening tonight? And then I saw the Christ light come in. Never seen it like that before. It literally poured down into the room. And then in the early hours of the morning, this little cleaner came in who used to annoy me because he banged all the beds when people were really sick. But never mind. He was a little man, and the light was pouring through him, bright gold, and splashing like a cascade up on the floor and filling the whole room in the hospital. I thought it was completely amazing. And at that time, I was too ill to speak to him. But about 3 weeks later, he was in the room, and I said to him, and I knew he was a Muslim, if I mentioned the Christ light to you, would you know what I was talking about? And he said, no. I thought, oh, that's wonderful. Hearing all this Christ energy pouring through him. No.
Not in this lifetime.
It doesn't matter what you know, what you believe. If your energy is pure, it comes right to you.
That is fabulous. What a great story. I'm looking at the time over here, and we're about to close our conversation for today. But I would love for you to talk about the new book you have coming out, because it's coming out next month, correct?
I have a copy already, The Archangel Guide to the Spirit Animal World. Oh. And it's all about animals, where they come from, the stars and planets of origin, how they work with the angels just as we do, how they're on a soul mission, how they have a soul purpose and a separate mission, and what they are, and how evolved some of them are. And they are quite extraordinary, and how they're helping us to ascension. Many of them have come in to learn, but to teach us. And many of them are more evolved than we are, and are really, really helping us and the entire planet to ascend now. And even the insects, some of them are fifth dimensional, more evolved than we are. And so I'm talking about the third dimensional ones, the fourth dimensional ones, the fifth dimensional ones, how they help us, how they serve. And there's a message from each of their kingdoms for us to help us to really tune in, because we can't ascend until we understand and respect the animal world. And it's part of the curriculum for ascension. And so this book is aimed at opening people's hearts to animals and enabling them to connect with them, communicate with them, and to understand what they're about.
Diana, what are squirrels about? I have a squirrel. I have a kitty. And Kitty likes to lay on her deck, and we have a squirrel. I have like a little vegetable garden. We have a squirrel that comes and sits in my vegetable garden. And whenever I try to shush him away, he actually puts his head on my hand. He does not want to leave. He hangs out with my kitty.
Yeah, a squirrel.
It's like a squirrel.
Okay, I'm going to read you a message from the cats.
Okay.
We see and know everything, for we are enlightened beings. We watch over your homes and the planet and keep the frequency high. When we are snoozing in the sun, we may be doing important service work. You, too, often do spiritual work when you are relaxing. So learn from us and rest more.
I will. Thank you.
And remember that, cats come from Orion, but all animals from Sirius, and that includes squirrels and dogs, or grey squirrels and dogs, they carry the Christ light. And so they are passing that on to you. And they also are bringing through spiritual technology from Sirius. And so your grey squirrel, look how they are inquisitive. They're finding answers to everything. They also come from Sirius, are bringing solutions and the Christ light.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I will communicate with my little squirrely. I call him Joel. That's his name.
They do. They love to communicate with humans. They just want to. But we've done so much to them. We've got a bit of a backlog before they trust us.
Yeah, I know from my cat, she always has an opinion about everything.
Cats are enlightened beings. They know everything.
Yes, she does. She definitely does. Well, Diana, it's been such a gift and such a joy to speak with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today on Rebel Hearts. It was so wonderful to reconnect and have you share all your wonderful wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for all of our listeners, thank you so much for joining in today. I hope you're having a wonderful week. Leave us a review on iTunes. Leave us a comment on Facebook or YouTube. I hope you got some incredible information from Diana. I'm sure you did. Hopefully you're inspired to practice more love, more forgiveness. Help us caught in that new golden age. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Wednesday at 3 p.m. And remember to rebel on.
Shows that make you laugh. Shows that make you think. Music that moves you. It could only be one place. Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.